All right, so I'm going to be sharing a bit more information about shifting realities. This is going to be a follow-up from my last video that I just uploaded on the 5D advanced consciousness and what's happening even within our bodies when we're shifting, when we're moving through a new version of ourselves. So recently, of course, we had a big shift, especially during eclipse season, moving into the full moon in Scorpio. Now, tapering out of that energy, we are shifting. We are shifting, we are integrating, and we are witnessing a new version of ourselves. Now, I want to go into the layers of this and what potentially could be happening within yourself, even some of the experiences that I've been going through as well, but also what I've been experiencing through the deep dive into my unconscious self, the belief systems, the way I have been used to functioning and responding to life situations, how I've been used to seeing and perceiving my reality. Even the way I've been acting or reacting, as I mentioned, has all come from my unconscious self. And truthfully, there have been many times when I have realized that the way I had been acting was a completely different version of myself. And that is a shift in reality. So first of all, if you are reflecting, if you are contemplating, if you are feeling, if you are sensing, if you are going within, if you are observing, you are shifting. If you are not, if someone is not contemplating, is not reflecting, is not cultivating self-awareness, they are not shifting. They're stuck. They're going to be stuck in their ways and in their way of perceiving and seeing and functioning. And yes, some people naturally will shift without their conscious level of awareness. But if their unconscious belief system, if their belief system has not been acknowledged or looked at, then there will be a lot of patterns that will still remain. The same perceptions will most likely remain. The way one will react to life will most likely remain the same with maybe some subtle changes. But if we are not contemplating, if we're not reflecting, if we're not acknowledging or feeling or sensing or looking within, then we are going to mostly remain in our same state of being. As I mentioned, if you are contemplating, if you are looking within, if you are giving yourself some time to reflect and to observe through a place of non-attachment, then you are going to shift. And you probably are, most likely. Those who are on my channel most likely are shifting. All right, so I also want to talk about what this means and the integration process, which I feel we're in right now, especially again, as I mentioned, after the eclipse season, what could be happening after eclipse season, moving into this period of integration. A new reality, a new perception means that we are able to look at our life differently. We are able to create a new reality based on what we believe, based on how we feel, based on what we see. So for example, you have a workstation, a desk, an office space that you have been used to working within for maybe months or maybe years. You have been used to the space and you have been used to the way that it's set up and the way that it has been organized. And then all of a sudden, you think, nah, I'm going to change it. I'm going to change my space. I'm going to redecorate or reorganize anyway. And then you move some things around, you shift your space and then realize that it works way better this time around. It's cleaner, it's organized, it's actually helping you work better. And then you think to yourself, why didn't I do that before? Why didn't I see this before? Why didn't I see the setup in this way before? That is how our unconscious works. When we are shifting, when we are used to operating and functioning and working in a certain way, we don't see an alternative until we shift, until we maybe observe or contemplate or look within, and maybe even shift our focus towards a new way of being altogether or a new life that we would like to have or that we would like to experience. And so when we are looking towards, I would say, our North Star, when we are setting our intentions towards a certain life or a certain way of being, if we are connecting more with ourselves, if we are being self-aware and looking within and being observant from a place of non-attachment, non-judgment, then we are going to shift our reality. We are going to look at life differently. We are going to become different as a result, and our body is going to adjust. Our work environment is going to adjust. Our relationships are going to adjust. It all starts to adjust and move into place based on our new self. based on a new way of being, based on a new way of looking at life, based on a new way of functioning. We are shifting our reality constantly. We are constantly shifting through this work, through being conscious and aware, through, again, reflecting. And of course, I can't stress it enough, coming from a place of being non-judgmental towards ourselves, towards life, towards relationships, and simply observing and reflecting. And then, of course, the integration part is hugely important. And I do feel that is where we are right now. I do feel that we are in a greater timeline of integration, especially again after what we've gone through with eclipse season. I feel that we have a time to settle into the new and allow our bodies to adjust, allow our mind to adjust, our energetic self, our emotions, and then of course our space or what we want to create as a result. And integration is so important. It is crucial for this practice. We can be so comfortable being on all the time. And what I learned just recently, and I've noticed the cycle happen before, but recently it gave me a very profound message as far as taking time to rest. Take time to rest and take time to slow down and look at other areas that need to be addressed. So for example, if we are constantly on, if we are on a high, if we are living a life that we have dreamed of and we want to be at that high place where things are happening and doors are opening and we're feeling good about ourselves and conversation is flowing and it's so good, then we're only living in one aspect of our life and we can't sustain it. Even though I know it feels good, and trust me, I love that place myself, but it is not sustainable. It is not, unfortunately. This is the way it goes. And these are the cycles that we are in right now. And so that's why it's very important also to find comfort in the downtime when we're in a low. And low, I mean low energy, maybe even not having clarity with direction or creative ideas. That is okay. And of course, the point of shadow work and understanding our shadow, understanding our unconscious self, and understanding our, of course, tuning in with our bodies and our emotion and our mindset is to find comfort with times that may feel uncomfortable. Finding solace in the down times and in times that may actually even trigger something deeper within us. There's something unsettling, if there's something emotional, if there's something mental coming in, a certain thought or a certain stress or anxiety, check in with that. Where is it coming from truly? Are you comfortable with being in the nothingness, in the void? Are you comfortable with integration? Are you comfortable being in silence? Are you comfortable when things are slow? Are you comfortable within the present moment? Right? And that's the clue right there. If there's discomfort, if there's an unease, then maybe check in and see where that is coming from. You could be going through a process of integration. So if you are in a high, and even if that high is change, maybe something catastrophic happening, maybe some big event, you need a low. You need a low, or you need a tapering down, or you need time for integration where you can take note and understand what has happened so that you can adjust physically and emotionally and energetically as well to the change that you have experienced. We do need the fluctuations because they all serve a purpose, especially the downtime for rest, for allowing the body to rejuvenate and to nourish the body and to connect maybe more with a different aspect of yourself. To reflect, to contemplate, to maybe put your attention to something that maybe hasn't been acknowledged. So all of these motions and fluctuations are so important, but we also definitely need our time to integrate, to allow for the adjustments to be made. And especially if you are doing your inner work, if you are working on change, on maybe shadow work, on anything. Even when I was a competitive cyclist back in the day, there were different types of training included in the program. It wasn't all just training fast and hard, not at all. There were days where I wasn't allowed to even move. I had to let my body adjust and heal and recover. There were days that were really fast and hard. There were days that were just steady and long. There were days that were of a different type of muscle training, a different type of endurance training. This is the same thing. It's a little bit different because it's hard to tell. We're not training our bodies necessarily, even though the bodies are a byproduct of what's happening deeper within ourselves, but it's very similar. And so we need a variation of days to adjust and to sense and to change and to find our flow and our rhythm with this evolution that we're in. And also, if you are manifesting, if you are working towards change in your life, there are so many dimensions and aspects to this. And shifting your reality means that you are adjusting to a new self, a new future, a new reality, a new creation that you've been working on. And of course, a new you, most importantly. So what happens when you go through a shift? What happens when you go through an upheaval? If you purge, if you see a new part of yourself or a new aspect of life, maybe you had an aha moment, or maybe just felt like a big release happened. While there are going to be many things, of course, your body needs to adjust to it. So there may be a lot of tiredness. There may even be anxiety. It is very natural that fear will be triggered through this process. And that leads into what I posted on the community board about fear being activated for myself after the full moon. I had a lot of nausea, which I never get nausea, ever. I have a very strong constitution. I have a very strong body. So this was very new for me, and I knew something big was happening within myself. So I did a bit of work. I did a bit of self-exploration. I did some research. And I came to feel in my true knowing that I was stepping into a new version of myself, or I am, because we all are in some kind of way. And fear is becoming triggered and activated. So for example, say you are wanting huge success in your business, you're wanting maybe a new relationship or something really exciting and fun, and it shows up. And it shows up for you. You get exactly what you want. Your old program fear, your unconscious fears, or that which has not been looked at yet, will be activated and will be triggered. So there may be all of a sudden a sudden activation of fear, of resistance. Oh, maybe I don't deserve this. Maybe I can't pull this off. Maybe a fear of the future, or even having something taken away or going through loss. These are old fears. We all have them because this is coming from history. It's coming from our ancestors. It's coming from past life. If you believe in that, it's coming from so many aspects within ourselves. But again, you are in the process of unraveling from this. So please, when I talk about this, it's not from a place of being hard on ourselves or being angry with the process or angry with what we've gone through. Not at all. This is a process of, it's a little bit of a scavenger hunt, connecting the dots of what's happening within ourselves and what's happening around us and how we can make sense of it so that we can align more and more and more with who we are and get through these hurdles of fear and self-sabotage. And so self-sabotage comes in as a mechanism that can all of a sudden just completely shut down the system and not want to move forward. Can completely want to shut out what is coming our way because of a fear of, again, something unknown or something that is buried within the unconscious or the false beliefs. And so this is what happened to me recently. I was getting a lot of these body reactions, yes, because I was purging, of course, but because I was stepping into a new version of myself, I had noticed a big influx and change with my work, and therefore I had to show up differently. And in order to show up differently, my deeper unconscious self was going like, whoa, wait a minute here, what's going on? There's a big adjustment, and we don't know if this is safe. We don't know if maybe this will stop. Maybe all of this will end. Maybe it will be taken away, right? And so those old mechanisms get kicked in, and then the body might shut down. There might be tiredness. There might be resistance. There might be all of a sudden, who knows, like many different symptoms can happen within the body and within the energetic self, the mind and the emotions, of course. And then it comes out in our actions and our behaviors. This is the interconnectedness, right? And so the point of this work and being conscious and aware is simply to understand where this is coming from so we can step through it, so we can keep walking through these layers. It's almost like a video game, right? So you get to one point, you fight, you slay the dragon, you slay the demon, you become the hero. And then what happens? There's another level. There's a change, there's a shift, or maybe a dying off of that level. And then you move into your next one. And so it's a continual process, right? It's a continual cycle that we're in. And so it's navigating these cycles with a bit more ease and a little bit more understanding and, of course, compassion and curiosity. When I talk about the ego, I'm talking about our old persona. I'm talking about a safety mechanism that has been created from our early life to hold on to what has been familiar. And also that part of the ego, and I don't want to say that all the ego is bad. It's not at all. We are part of this. It's part of our identity. It's part of ourself. However, there is a component of it that can be very strong and can want to hold on to old stories and old ways. This persona, if you will, or safety mechanism, however you want to term it, will be activated when we are stepping into a new version of ourselves. And yes, of course, it is tied to fear. There's going to be a bit of a fight or a struggle within the system, right? So I've mentioned this many times before. When we become very enmeshed within a belief, within an emotion, within a story, within a way of being, it takes a long time to sort of detangle from that way of being and from these sensations and from the emotions and thoughts and stories, etc. So there's going to be a bit of this oscillation between the old way, what we've been familiar with, and the new way. And the new way is very much built of trust and openness. Trust is a big factor. I've talked about this many times before. How does trust feel for you? Trusting within your heart that everything is going to be okay, that you are taken care of. And I know what it feels like to be in the opposite end of no, everything is not okay. Nothing is okay. I am in hell. I'm in struggling. Do you not see the pain that I'm in and the reality that I'm in, and I'm suffering and I'm not going to be able to get ahead? That is the old belief system. That's the fears, it's the emotions that we become very entangled and enmeshed with, right? And so I understand how difficult it is. And again, give yourself some time to work through this, because we can detach from them. We can let go from them to open up for more, to allow for more life to come in. And trust is a huge part of it. Trusting the universe, trusting ourselves, and letting go of holding on so tightly. Once we let go and allow for love to come in and cultivate that within ourselves, we can release from the grips of fear. And then we can introduce a whole new experience into our lives. If you are going through difficulty, if there is a lot of resentment, a lot of anger, a lot of fear, that is okay. That is okay. And that this is part of the work as well, is being okay with feeling frustrated, being okay with feeling angry, being okay with wherever life is today in this present moment, being okay with it. Life sucks. Life is hard. Absolutely it is. You have every right to feel that. So how do we work out of it? How do we create the change moving forward? How do we trust a little bit more? How can we open our hearts a little bit more? How can we look within and gain a new perspective, maybe of our reality, to allow for a new focus, a new way of looking at ourselves or our situation? The battle within ourselves is the greatest battle of all. And when we find that peace within, when we find the correlations of our beliefs and our interconnectedness with our mind, our emotions, our reality, the way that we see our life and see people and relationships, that is when you will go through a massive change in your reality altogether. It requires a great deal of trust and a great deal of patience to move through the motions of letting it go. Just a bit of a recap, I want to highlight integration specifically. Again, if we are constantly learning, if we are constantly healing, if we are constantly working on ourselves, if we're constantly wanting things to be really great and good and productive and feeling like something's getting done, we're not allowing for integration to happen. And truthfully, I feel that when we surrender, and this means to let go of expectations, to let go of holding on and wanting things to be done a certain way. When we let go and we have a little bit more of that trust in our practice, the universe is naturally going to give us the clues to slow down. Truthfully, actually, our body is going to tell us to slow down. And when we're listening to our body and when we're tuned in, we then start to find the natural rhythm with life, with ourselves, and with our ability to create. And if we need a downtime, if we need to take a step away from the computer, from social media, if we need to take a step away from reading or our self-work and just live and do kind of nonsensical stuff, then that is exactly what we need in that moment of time. And then we have to let go of any guilt around it if we feel that we are not doing enough. right? And this is quite a practice to work through, but the integration part is hugely important. Your body, your psyche, your energetic being, your emotions, everything, your feelings need time to integrate, need time to adjust to the changes and integrate what you've learned to apply it for something else in the future. All right, so I hope this offered a little bit more guidance as we move through the motions and beyond. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. Take care.